February 22nd, 2019. Madrid, Spain. In a quiet, leafy suburb called Aravaca, the gates of the North Korean embassy buzz open for a man in a tailored blazer. He is carrying a gift bag of expensive Spanish ham, and he looks exactly like a venture capitalist. He acts like one too. But 3 minutes later, the illusion shatters. 6 masked men storm the compound. They are not Navy SEALs. They are not the CIA. They are a group of teachers and students and an ex-Marine. They are armed with airsoft pistols they bought at a hobby shop for less than €1,000. For 5 hours, they hold a nuclear superpower's embassy hostage. Not for money, but for something far more valuable in the 21st century. Data. They walked out with terabytes of North Korea's most classified secrets, only to be betrayed by the one country they thought would protect them. Welcome to the Digital Sleuth. Today, we are deconstructing the most audacious physical access hack in modern history. This is a cybercrime documentary about Adrian Hong, the man who outsmarted a dictator, and the digital shadow war that nearly started a nuclear conflict. To understand the raid, you have to understand the man behind it. Adrian Hong was not born a revolutionary. He was a Yale graduate and a rising star in the world of human rights. He founded Liberty in North Korea, a nonprofit that became the Underground Railroad for defectors. But by 2016, Hong realized that policy papers and TED Talks were not moving the needle. While he was writing reports, North Korea's state-sponsored hackers were successfully pulling off the Sony Pictures hack and the $81 million Bangladesh bank heist. Group like the Lazarus Group proved that the regime was not just a military threat, it was a digital one. Hong decided to fight fire with fire. So he went underground. He disappeared from the public eye and re-emerged as the leader of a group called Cheolima Civil Defense, also known as Free Joseon. This was not just a protest group. It was a clandestine network. Hong operated like a high-level cyber operative using Proton Mail, Signal, and PGP encryption to coordinate safe houses from Seoul to San Francisco. His recruits ranged from Silicon Valley crypto millionaires to ex-special forces. Their first major operation was not a raid. It was a rescue. In 2017, after Kim Jong-un's half-brother was assassinated with nerve agent in a Malaysian airport, Hong's network executed a dark web-style extraction of the man's son, Kim Han-sul. They spirited him past Chinese surveillance and North Korean kill squads into a digital and physical void, where he remains to this day. That was the proof of concept. Hong had the tech, he had the talent, and he had the audacity. Now, he needed the intel. Most cybercrimes happen behind a screen. But when the target is an air-gapped system, meaning a computer not connected to the internet, you need physical access. The North Korean embassy in Madrid was exactly that. A treasure trove of encrypted phones and hard drives used by diplomats who were actually intelligence officers. The planning for the Madrid raid reads like a script from a heist movie. But the logistics were surprisingly low-tech. In a world of multi-million-dollar zero-day exploits, Hong used social engineering. He spent weeks building a fake identity as Matthew Chow, a managing partner at a fictional firm called Barron Stone Capital. He met with embassy officials, discussed infrastructure investments, and planted the seeds of trust. Then came the hardware. 2 days before the raid, the team went to a local Madrid hardware store. They did not buy high-end hacking rigs. They bought 10 iron crowbars, bolt cutters, and 33 rolls of duct tape from a police gear boutique. They bought 6 realistic airsoft pistols for a total of €833. Think about that. The tools to invade a sovereign territory cost less than a mid-range laptop. This is what we in the security world call a low resource, high-impact threat. At 4:32 p.m. on February 22nd, the social engineer walked through the front gate. Once inside, Hong let his team in. What followed was 5 hours of pure adrenaline. They rounded up the staff, bound them with duct tape, and began the data harvest. They were not looking for cash. They were looking for encryption keys, SIM cards, and hard drives. But then, the human firewall failed. An embassy staffer's wife jumped from a second-story window, shattering her ankle but reaching the street to alert the police. When Spanish officers arrived at the gate, Hong pulled off his most legendary move. He put on a North Korean lapel pin, slicked back his hair, and walked out to meet the police. With the calm of a professional operative, he told them everything was under control, and it was just a minor domestic incident. The police actually left. This is the ultimate lesson in authority bias. If you look like you belong and speak with confidence, most people, even trained officers, will not check your credentials. By 9:40 p.m., the team vanished. They split into 4 groups, ditched their airsoft guns in the bushes, and headed for the border. Hong flew to New York with a suitcase full of North Korea's most sensitive digital assets. At that moment, he thought he had won. Here is where the story turns into a tragedy. 5 days after landing in the U.S., Hong met with the FBI. He handed over everything: the laptops, the phones, the security footage. He believed he was providing the smoking gun needed to collapse the regime's illicit financial networks. But the timing was a disaster. Donald Trump was days away from meeting Kim Jong-un in Hanoi. And the U.S. government did not want a heroic activist. They wanted a stable diplomatic environment. To avoid looking like they had authorized a terrorist attack on an embassy, the Department of Justice made a brutal calculation. They did not just disavow Hong. They turned the evidence over to the Spanish authorities, who then returned the devices to North Korea. Imagine the technical fallout. Every informant, every defector, every covert communication method stored on those drives was now in the hands of the very dictator Hong was trying to topple. Within weeks, the U.S. Marshals issued an arrest warrant for Adrian Hong and Christopher Ahn. The ex-Marine, Hong did what he does best. He became a phantom. He deleted his digital footprint, abandoned his vehicles, and vanished into thin air. Christopher Ahn was not so lucky. He was arrested in Los Angeles and spent years fighting extradition to Spain, where he feared he would be handed over to North Korean assassins. So, why does this matter to you? Beyond the drama, the Madrid raid is a case study in physical security and digital hygiene. North Korea's embassy was breached because of a simple failure in social engineering. But Adrian Hong's network was dismantled because they trusted a centralized authority with their most sensitive data. In this cybercrime documentary, we see the stakes of the modern world. Data is the new oil, and people will kill for it. Whether you are a high-stakes activist or just a regular person, you need to know how to protect your own digital embassy. Here is the Digital Sleuth's Guide to Staying Safe. First, beware of social engineering. Be skeptical of unsolicited gifts or business opportunities that require immediate access to your space or your devices. If a deal seems too good to be true, it probably is. Second, encryption is non-negotiable. Use end-to-end encrypted apps like Signal. If Hong had not used these, his entire network would have been arrested on day one. Third, remember that physical access is total access. If someone can touch your computer, they own it. Use full disk encryption like FileVault or BitLocker. And never leave your hardware unattended in public spaces. Fourth, metadata kills. If you are sharing files or photos, use tools to strip the EXIF data. A single GPS tag in a photo can reveal a safe house or your private home location. Finally, use two-factor authentication and cold storage for your most sensitive data, like crypto or private documents. Keep it off the network entirely. As of 2026, Adrian Hong is still on the run. To some, he is a terrorist. To others, he is the only man brave enough to take on a nuclear tyrant with nothing but an airsoft gun. The Madrid raid reminds us that in the digital age, The little guy can rattle the foundations of a superpower, but it also warns us that the system will always protect itself before it protects you. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the intersection of physical and cyber warfare, hit that like button and subscribe. Stay secure. Stay anonymous. I am the Digital Sleuth, and I will see you in the next one.